There was just nothing to explain it, nothing. It was just very, very scary.
You are about to see real people.
This is not normal.
Reliving horrifying paranormal encounters for the first time.
Oh, I felt terror.
When ghosts attack the living.
He wanted her, and he was gonna get her.
I buried this for nearly 30 years.
Be prepared to be afraid.
Story number 21, take one.
Al Kelchner dreamed of living a quiet life in the countryside. And in 2001, he needed some peace more than ever.
I went through a difficult period in 2001, including my father's death, 9/11, and then I was laid off from the company that I was working for. I'd reached a point in my life where I needed a change. I needed some calm in my life. My dad was a farm boy, so being out in the country, especially someone who was from the urban New York metropolitan area, that was a big thrill.
So Al made a change. He left New York City and bought a hobby farm in Illinois.
It was kind of, I don't know, magical. It just fulfilled every expectation I had about the type of little farm I wanted. It was picture, postcard perfect. I just saw potential and possibilities.
Al was so taken with the farm that he bought it on impulse, without having stepped foot inside. It would be a decision he'd live to regret.
It was very dark, physically, literally physically dark. Oh, it was threatening. It just, you felt uneasy the second you walked into that house. You felt as though you were being watched. It was a very negative, dark energy and extremely intimidating. I did subsequent research and found out that it was a pretty interesting place. There's a lot of history from from the Revolution and colonial days. I was very conflicted. I found my little dream farm, but at the same time, I hated going home at night. The drive, the closer I got, the more unnerved I became because I knew I had to open that back door and walk into a totally dark house out in the country by myself.
Al's uneasy feeling in the house remained just a feeling, until a few days after he moved in.
One morning I got up and I went into the bathroom to shower and get ready for work. And the bathroom was a mess. Towels were on the floor. Toiletries were scattered around. Items had been taken out of the cabinet and they were laying across the top of the vanity. I was uneasy. I had no logical explanation.
Little did Al know, this was just the beginning. Soon he began to experience other strange phenomena.
There was walking, talking, and frequently my face was touched and stroked. It was one of those experiences you can't see, you can't explain, and it's really unnerving. But that wasn't the end of it. I was sitting in the family room and talking with a friend on the phone when I heard, suddenly, loud knocking by the front door in the living room. which was a room and a half away. And then moved into the parlor, which is adjacent to the living room. And upstairs, directly over my head. It probably lasted a couple of minutes and was incredibly unnerving. And that was when I finally threw in the towel, raised the white flag and said, okay, I believe in you. So we're gonna have to coexist.
If Al thought acknowledging whatever was haunting his house would calm the activity, he was wrong.
I was in the corner of the kitchen. I had bread in the toaster. And as I stood there, all of a sudden I felt a sharp pain in the back of my neck. I thought, well, maybe I'd slept the wrong way and pinched a nerve. The pain spread through my shoulders, down into my chest. And I thought, oh my God, I just bought this place. I'm gonna have a heart attack in my new residence and nobody's gonna find me. You know, this is just awful. But then I realized that it wasn't from stress. It was someone who had wrapped their arms around me and was squeezing tighter and tighter. And I said, stop it. And immediately it stopped and dissipated. But that wasn't the end of it. On Thursday of the same week, at about the same time, same location, same routine, toast in the toaster, it happened again. This time, though, just was an immediate bear hug. Someone very large, very strong, very powerful, wrapping their arms around me and pulling me close. And again, I yelled, stop it, and it stopped immediately. I felt terrified. I couldn't see anything, but obviously there was something that had a physical effect on me. So I had no answers.
A house could feel physically threatening depending on what entity or spirit is occupying the house. Spirits are what they were in life. So if you're a violent person in life, if you're an angry person in life, you probably carry that to the other side. Spirits can get violent if they just don't want you around. They could want to chase you out.
It was a test. Let's see if you're going to stay around.
But Al did stay around.
I went upstairs. So I turned into the northwest bedroom, and I opened the door. The minute I stepped foot in that room, I felt nauseous. I felt terror. And I felt as though something was pulling me down to the floor. The terror was almost debilitating. I was pushed a couple times. I was struck, and all of a sudden I felt a sharp pain in my right ribs. And that lasted for probably 3 weeks before it finally dissipated.
Al started to realize that his life was in danger.
I had a fight or flight instinct, and the instinct was to flee, so I did. It's really terrifying, the sense that you're not alone, and that something bad could happen.
After experiencing a string of strange events in his picture-perfect farmhouse, Al Kelchner was under attack.
The feeling of dread and doom was overbearing.
Al decided he needed outside help.
I decided to open up the house to investigative teams. It really started with wanting a confirmation that what was happening to me, one, was really happening, and number two, I wasn't losing my mind.
I'm pretty sensitive to the spirits, so when I get to a location, I can kind of sense there was a lot of animosity going on at this place. Before I go to any location, I would always try to do some research on it. I read a lot about the people that own the farm initially. There was a doctor as well that lived at the property, and from what I understand, he did some crazy things with the children. He would molest them.
Did you hear that?
Within a few hours, we heard screams by doing some EVP sessions. The things that were scary to me were there were a lot of black shadows at the property. I heard noises coming from the staircase that was behind me. I heard somebody running down the stairs. I felt something come up close to my back, and the next thing I know, I felt just like a bear hug completely around my stomach.
This would not be the only investigation at Al's farm.
As time went on and I had groups come in, members of these investigating teams seemed to observe more and more shadow figures. One of the most amazing experiences I've had at that house was an evening when a small group was there.
Oh my God, look!
One of the people sitting at the dining room table said, "Oh my God, there's a shadow walking back and forth in the living room." And sure enough, the window was completely blacked out. They observed them outside through the windows, walking between the barn, the machine shed, and inside the house. And then that morphed into what looked like the figure of a person. And for the next half hour, we watched that shadow walk around in the living room. It was pretty profound.
Seeing a shadow figure, if it's a shadow man, you are seeing a spirit trying to manifest itself. It's trying to show itself to you. So it forms as a dark mass. Shadow people, on the other hand, they were never human. They're a bit more physical, larger shadows with heads, no necks, big shoulders. It could be you are going through a weakness at the time and they're taking advantage of it. You could be also dabbling in something you're not supposed to be dabbling in, and they come as a warning.
Shadow people can be pretty bad and could hurt people. I was scared, frightened for Al's safety.
I was told there could be up to 30 spirits in the house at one time, which I thought was an exaggeration. But when I hear that multiple times repeated to me over a period of years, then I start to pay attention. I knew the place was haunted, but I didn't realize how haunted it really was. There was a woman at the house who came to visit, and she described every entity, known entity in the house. There was a farmer from the 19th century who was in the kitchen. There was a male entity in the northwest bedroom of the house. The report was that this entity was a doctor who had a lot of negative energy or was not very nice. There came a point where I needed answers and I needed resolution. I believe it was 2011, to do something about the energy at the house. And no one had ever done a cleansing before.
Cleanse this house of all negativity. Only love and light may enter.
So we went from room to room, saged the corners high and low. It was my responsibility to make positive statements and also ban any negative energy. What I didn't know, although I was told afterwards, is that the medium with me could hear growling, furniture being slammed.
Negativity. Only love and light may enter. Cleanse this house of all negativity. Only love and light may enter.
And apparently it worked, because as I look back on that period and prior, the energy was very dark at the house. It isn't anymore.
The cleansing seemed to rid the house of its ghosts, but Al wasn't done with the spirit world yet. There was one final ghost, and it was waiting especially for him.
A woman in the house, who was usually found on the second floor, died around 1845. And the connection was described to me as something like a soulmate. She described Sarah as my wife from a past life. And it's really difficult for me to wrap my brain around, but they recorded an EVP. It's very brief, it's rapid, but it's pretty clear. It's a female voice saying, "I love him."
I love him.
It's hard for me to comprehend. I really thought about selling the house and giving up my dream. But I decided to stick with it and see what would unfold. Although I know there's some very negative energy, my experience for the most part has been positive, and somehow I managed to cope with what was going on around me and achieve some level of acceptance. And here I am 8 years later.
When ghosts physically attack the living, victims typically feel themselves being squeezed or hugged. But sometimes, the attacks can be even more violent and leave scars that never heal.
That's Tormentor, story number 6.
I was in my 20s, and I was in bed. We were sleeping. And all of a sudden, I felt real heavy in the chest. And I woke my husband up, and I said, "Get it off my chest. I can't breathe."
Honey, what's going on?
And he said, "There's nothing there." And I said, "There is. I can't breathe." It lasted about 10 minutes. I felt like I was being choked.
Something was attacking me.
I was scared, you know. Nothing like that had ever happened before. And the next day, I had bruises on my neck. They were like finger marks.
Karen didn't know what to make of the incident, but it left her with an uneasy feeling.
Next day, I got flowers. It was like for a funeral.
A few days later, with her husband away for work, Karen had her next strange encounter.
I saw a man in a blue shirt. I didn't recognize him at all. I didn't see his face clear. I always saw him at the bottom of the bed. I was being watched. I told him to stop, to go away. You're not welcome here. Go away. But he didn't. I couldn't count the number of times that I saw him.
But one night, the apparition did more than just watch.
I just felt myself being pulled down, and then he would assault me.
Karen White had been attacked in her bed by a spirit.
And it was every night. He would assault me in some way or another, and then he raped me. It got to the point where I was afraid to go to bed at night.
I have, in fact, heard of spirits sexually assaulting or having sex with the living. I had 2 cases personally where that happened. One of those cases went on for almost 20 years.
Eventually, the attack subsided, giving Karen some relief.
I wasn't being attacked so much, but it took quite a while before it stopped there.
In the following years, Karen and her husband had a son, Ed. With the nighttime attacks having all but stopped, Karen thought her torment was over. But the worst was yet to come.
I didn't know it would affect them. I thought it was just me.
The first sign of trouble came when the couple tried to have their baby christened. Now an adult, Ed feels it was no coincidence.
The night before I was supposed to be baptized, the church had burnt down, so I didn't go the next morning, of course.
From his earliest memories, Ed recalls being tormented by evil spirits.
From age 3 and up, it's a piece of cake remembering almost everything, especially all the horrible stuff. I call him the tormentor. Always come out of the closet, try to scare the hell out of me, come out from underneath the bed or in front of the bed. Or he'd come from a dark corner, got a long face, spiked kind of tongue, horns on top of the head, black shiny skin. That's the tormentor. If he didn't come out, it would be spiders. And it would be the walls, the ceiling, the floors, the bed, everything covered in spiders. And even if I tried to scream, it felt like spiders were coming out of my mouth. So it was like total nightmare city. Mom tried to blame it off as it's my imagination, trying to calm me down, not to freak me out. I knew it was something different.
I wasn't too shocked because, I thought he was having something like I was having. I told him not to worry about it.
I barely didn't get much sleep when I was a kid, and my parents did what most parents do, is they took me in and had me checked out, and none of that made a difference, but I just had to kind of play along so they wouldn't think I'm crazy or I wouldn't get locked up in a loony bin.
The family was desperate to move out, but finances were a problem. Eventually, they saved enough to get a new home. But whatever was tormenting them had no intention of letting them go so easily.
This thing followed us there as well. It got worse in the teenage years. Writing appeared on the wall. Just telling me to kill other people, kill myself, ways of killing myself. I just had to keep putting all that stuff out of my memory.
I felt bad for him. I just told him it was okay. You know, nothing bad is gonna happen to you.
The torment continued for 10 more years, until finally, Karen and Ed sought outside help.
We have a friend who belongs to a paranormal group. It was through him that we got this shaman.
They had us basically sit in a chair like this. They put a piece of cloth underneath the chair, and then he used like a sea salt and an eagle's feather, and they just brush down your body. They fold up the doll into like a little totem and just say that you give all your evil spirits and energy to this doll. And then they're supposed to go and burn it. They call it the release place. The doll burns completely, you're out of trouble. And sure enough, the next day they went to the burn site. My doll didn't burn completely.
After a few months' respite, the torment and the man returned.
He disappeared for quite a while. I thought it was finished, it was over with. But there he was. He's back.
Come on!
Fearing for his mother's safety, Ed took matters into his own hands.
Come and get me! Come on!
I challenged it and told it that you want to attack somebody, leave Mom alone, because Mom's in her 70s. So I said, leave Mom alone. Bring it on. I'm open for it. If you want to attack somebody, you can come and attack me.
To protect his mother from the evil spirits that had tormented her for years, Ed White challenged them to come after him.
Bring it on. I'm open for it. If you want to attack somebody, you can come and attack me.
It was an ultimatum he'd live to regret.
He was being attacked, scratched.
My back is covered. My ribs, my stomach, my chest. They take months, sometimes years to heal up. We had a nurse practitioner. She measured my arms and the scratches, and she said there's no way you could have made those scratches yourself on your back. The body ain't meant to bend that way, so there's no way it could have been you. It's always in threes every time it happens. The pain is unbelievable that goes with it. You can't scream, you can't do nothing.
The theory is when you get 3 scratches, because they usually come in threes, that it is the entity's way of mocking the Trinity. It's a matter of making you afraid and keeping you afraid so you don't have the will to fight back.
I can be in bed, I could be in Mom's room, I could be anywhere.
I've known Edwin and Karen for about 5 years. He's a kind, gentle soul, and we see him all the time. He was in my yard, and he dropped right to his knees.
We were talking away, and then they saw my leg get red. They saw the scratches come, and then they just saw the blood just start gushing down the one leg.
He had 3 fresh scratches on his leg, deep red scratches. I go, what was that? And he goes, it got me again. And I go, what do you mean? And he's like, they're after me again, these demons. It was really weird. You'd have to see it to believe it.
And the pizza man saw it too.
He saw the skin rip open, 3 on each side, and he's just like, okay, let me get out of here, please.
To this day, Ed is still being attacked by his tormentor.
Some people think you're crazy, you know, sometimes. I worry about Ed because he just can't take it anymore.
The most frightening thing for me is the scratches on the body, and if they're going to get worse, or if it's going to even be taken to another level. Whatever has been following me around, there's going to be no end to this.
Ed and Karen are currently searching for someone who can rid Ed of his tormentor once and for all. Not all ghost attacks result in physical assaults. Some of the most terrifying can be when evil spirits try to take away our most precious things. Our children.
Story number 3 featuring Kristen, take 1.
We were renting a townhouse and it was just a lot higher rent, so we moved into this house, which was a little cheaper. We had a yard and it just had all of the amenities that we wanted.
After Kristen and her husband Ken moved in with their 6-year-old daughter Becca, tragedy struck.
My aunt committed suicide. She hung herself in her basement of her home. We're very close. Very close. I think she just had a lot of mental things going on.
At the funeral, Kristen said goodbye to a much-loved aunt forever. Or so she thought.
Just, you're a wreck after those things, you know? We got home, I was grieving, and I was mad at her. I was severely mad. I hated her. And I remember just yelling at her.
Why did you do this? Why?
Just yelling and screaming at her because she was putting our entire family through something we shouldn't ever have to go through. I told her she was weak. I told her that I was ashamed of her. Of course, I'm screaming at this point at her. Told her that I hated her and that I would never forgive her. I'm sorry.
But Kristen had no idea that by venting her anger and grief, she might have opened a pathway to the spirit world.
Spirits and demons can appear more often in times of grief. When people are grieving, it sometimes opens doors for other things to come in and prey on the vulnerable.
I was grieving severely. I was angry. I was hateful.
Why?
So, yeah, I believe that quite possibly that I could have let something in at that point. I remember one night, it was probably about 11:30, and I was flipping over laundry. And I felt something behind me. And I turned and looked, and there she was.
Overcome with grief after the tragic death of her aunt, Kristen Whitesell had unwittingly invited something unexpected into her home.
And I turned and looked, and there she was. I took off running up the stairs screaming, and I turned around, and my aunt was coming up the steps after me. She looked completely different, demonic. You don't ever get that sight out of your head. And at first I thought I was going crazy. Like I thought, you're wanting to see her so badly because I didn't get to say goodbye. When it first begins to happen, you kind of feel like you're imagining all of this. This isn't real, this isn't happening. And you just kind of go on. Second time, you're kind of like, oh God. I would see her daily in different locations of the home.
Soon, other strange activities started to happen around the house.
My husband was working nights, and we were sitting in the living room, and we heard bumping going on upstairs. I went upstairs, and my bedroom door was open. I heard a big boom, and my bedroom door was closed. There was no drafts, there was no windows open or anything. I always felt like we were being watched. At nighttime, you would hear noises downstairs in the basements, like clanging. Go downstairs, and off in the corner, you would see a shadow in the corner. Looked as though a man that was hunched over who was hovering, and his back was turned to you. He scared me. He scared the crap out of me because he would never show me his face, and he just stood there lurking. You don't know what they're capable of. You don't know if by interacting with them, if that's gonna put your family in danger, put them at risk. I felt like I was going crazy.
Until now, the activity had been limited to manifestations. But that was about to change.
When it happened the first time, I would remember waking up in the middle of the night. I would feel as though I was being choked. And I just felt like there was something that had its hands around my neck and was holding me down, and I couldn't yell out. I remember screaming in my dream, and I remember yelling for my husband. But in all actuality, I wasn't. He never heard me at all. It became a nightly thing.
Spirits can physically attack an individual. If you're dealing with a more malevolent entity, the idea is to torment you, to make you weak, and to keep you that way. Malevolent energies want to be in control.
And Kristen wasn't the only one in danger.
The kids would tell us that they hear things and that they saw things and that they felt things.
Searching for answers, the couple discovered that the house was an old railway house that had a secret past.
The house was built, it was a slave home. And the upstairs was the master's quarters. Off of the side walls, there were little rooms, and they were cubby holes where the slaves would go and hide when the masters were entertaining guests. Well, you still had access from Rebecca's room into one of what was the slaves' quarters. Rebecca would say that a man on fire, would come out of that cubby hole that used to be the slave quarters. At first, she kind of made it sound like it was a dream. Mom, there's a man in my room. It started off, he was only coming maybe once a month. And then it became 2 to 3 times a week. And then it became a nightly thing that he was coming to her. He would encourage her to go with him. He wanted her. And he was gonna get her.
An apparition of a burning man was threatening to take Kristen Whitesell's daughter away with him.
He wanted her, and he was gonna get her. It scared her pretty badly. Immediately, as a mother, you're going into protection mode. Is he trying to take her soul? What's he trying to do? And all I could think is, you're not taking mine. It's not happening. She's mine. And I told her, you tell him no, that you're not going anywhere. You stay right here. I can't protect you if you're gone. There's no greater fear than the fear that your child is not safe in their own home.
Fearing for her family's safety, Kristen calls in paranormal investigators.
A lot of times, spirits can be attracted to loss or mourning. Demons can come around because they follow someone. A lot of negative energy can happen. To get started, we took in our EVP recorders, our K2 meters, and our DVR system at the time.
My husband and Jeremy were downstairs in the basement.
We had motion detectors on every floor, and from there, we just began asking questions. Who are you? What is your name? Why are you here? All of a sudden, this real deep, nasty, maniacal man came over our EVP recorders, just laughing at us. It was very overwhelming and kind of frightening.
Voices on the EVPs, they were mocking my husband.
Jeremy, you there? Something's moving upstairs.
Our motion detectors would go off, and we'd go up to see what was causing it. And as soon as we went upstairs, the motion detector downstairs in the basement would go off. Almost like it was playing games with us.
Come in, Jeremy.
And all of a sudden, we just see a shadow just go from the front door into where we are really fast.
And you can edit this out. I remember him saying his exact words, "Oh, they did not stay in that basement very long." I don't think that their feet touched the stairs. He had to be scared, quite honestly. He had to be. Who wouldn't?
This investigation and client, to me, is one of the most active places I've been to. A part of me believes that it's just negative spirits from the railroad days, but another part of me believes that it could be demonic.
With the paranormal activity getting more intense, Kristen and Ken decided to get the house cleansed.
When we conducted the cleansing, we had 2 Wiccans with us, and they conducted the blessing, and they went into every crack and cranny of that house with salt and oils. according to them, they were able to kick out the maniacal spirits.
Although the house was cleansed, the family couldn't live with the memories of what they went through and decided to move.
You can't force a child to feel safe again. It definitely was the scariest period of my life. You're not in control. It's time to cut our ties and go. My aunt had passed away, and normally that's who I would go to talk to, but she wasn't there. It's hard to recover from something like that. I'm never gonna go back there. I haven't been back, and I don't plan on ever going back.